So the big thing about this edition of Impact Wrestling was Samoa Joe getting his rematch against the World Heavyweight Champion Magnus. But the difference is you would have the Monstrous Abyss and Eric Young handcuffed to each other outside the ring. And a brilliant way they kicked this show off was Abyss and Eric Young brawling backstage. Yes, we've seen these two brawl against each other before, but it had a purpose. It was building up the prevention of Eric Young being at ringside in the main event. You have the slam onto the chair, then you had Monstrous Abyss choking him out, and that was Eric Young done. He weren't going to make it to the main event. That made it look like the heels had the advantage. But throughout the night, they were building up who could replace Eric Young. So you had EC3, one of the greatest characters in Impact Wrestling today, go one-on-one with Bobby Lashley. And it really weren't much about the match. It was more about Willow coming out and taking out EC3 in this weapon usage crazy kind of character way. This Willow character is becoming more and more heel face like, and he's just building up opponents, building up possible feuds. I like what they're doing with Willow, even though I'm surprised the crowd are not chanting for Jeff Hardy. Then we have Lashley, who could quite easily be annoyed about what Willow's done and induct himself into this somehow. Because there's so much going on here. You've got the building of the Willow character. You've got Lashley because he's signed a contract in TNA. So where's he going to go? Is he going to get involved in this? Then you've got EC3, who I'm sure is going to continue being built up as a great part of the TNA roster. The James Storm and Gunner feud I'm really enjoying. You've got Gunner, who's really starting to become more confident in the ring as a wrestler, confident in the ring as a mic talker, and he's really benefiting from this feud. He is showing signs that he could possibly continue to be another wrestler to grow in Impact Wrestling. And he's going against James Storm. James Storm, a guy who was once in the main event, but now he's putting over Gunner. He's still looking good in the process. There's so much brilliance in this. And on this week's edition of Impact, you have Gunner, who seems to be bragging about his lockdown win over James Storm. You have him talk about his father, who's at ringside. And even when it's not a pay-per-view, when it's not a special edition of Impact Wrestling or any wrestling show, you know something's going to happen. Out comes James Storm, and exactly what happens. He starts to talk about Gunner, he starts to talk about his father, and when Gunner's had enough, there's a brawl. These two are fighting around the ring, fighting here, fighting there, only for Gunner to get handcuffed to the ring. I want to feel sorry for his dad, but then James Storm ends up smashing a beer bottle on the back of his father's head. What a great way to use family to spark more in a feud. Yes, it may have been overdone in past wrestling feuds, but to add it to this one, in one that involves Gunner, someone who could do with the intensity, the feeling as he grows in TNA, brilliant. So it looks like these two will fight again. Are they building up to a James Storm getting a win at a pay-per-view or a special TNA show, or is going to continue to keep on winning to prove that he's better than James Storm? So time after time, wrestling fans keep asking for new divas, new knockouts. Maybe big, powerful ones where there's an obstacle for other knockouts to pass, or maybe to leave us wondering who's ever going to defeat Diva or Knockout. TNA gave us Lady Tapper, and as much as she put an okay performance in some of her matches, I think the reason they signed her to be the bodyguard of Gail Kim was to give her the TV exposure and the sidelining while they continue to build her up. But I guess it weren't enough, because on this week's edition of Impact Wrestling, She goes one-on-one with Gail Kim, puts on her okay dominant performance, but doesn't get the job done as Gail Kim defeats her, ends their partnership, and ends Lady Tapper's TNA's career. Maybe she'll go back to OVW to build herself up, but that's for TNA to decide. Gail Kim, it leaves us wondering, is she going to go to a knockout sideline feud, or is she going to be put in to the next knockout segment we got, where Angelina Love is asking for her answer? Velvet Sky is being reunited as she eventually agrees to reunite the beautiful people. And straight away, I'm like, there's no knockout tag teams. It may have been better to have more single knockouts all fighting each other instead of rebuilding tag teams again. Like we had the Mexican one a little while ago. We had Gail Kim and Madison Rain, the beautiful people. I was kind of enjoying having them all separated. But when they try and get Madison Rain to join, this leads to Angelina Love not being happy that Madison Rain saying no, because just like Velvet Sky felt last week, Madison Rain always felt beneath uh, Angelina Love and Velvet Sky. So it's all about being being yourself, being the knockout that is better than the rest, having your own singles career. But instead, it looks like we're going to be getting an Angelina Love with Velvet Sky by her side versus the Knockout champion Madison Rain. That's good. It's a feud, and I'm just wanting to see more of a build up of maybe other knockout feuds, something to build up to something to progress after this possible beautiful people feud. You remember the Ace and Eights, right? That faction that once came in looking dominant and then suddenly became looking terrible. Well, Nux, the guy that hardly did anything in that faction, TNA are offering him another chance as he has this video package saying how he went home to support his family, but his heart's always been in wrestling. So it looks like Knox is going to be making a return back to TNA wrestling. And right now, because he didn't have the biggest part in the Ace and Eights, he didn't really have his own individual character. I'm not pumped up. I'm not feeling this. I'm not really caring about this. Yes, give it a chance to see if TNA can package him in a way I do care. But right now, there's nothing there. The Bromance defeated the Bro Wolves and Bro Uno and Bruce Sanada. They retained their tag team championships, bro. That was really ridiculous. I couldn't stand it, bro. When are they going to lose it, bro? And who are they going to defeat, bro? Who would you like to see become the new tag team champions to end that stupid bro nonsense and to give us something that we care about and give us that positive feeling inside so the tag team division can keep going forward without having to hear bro, bro, bro. Other than Buddy Ray not finding it a little bit fishy, that he was talking to the back of a chair, there was no response, it didn't turn around for him, you couldn't see the top of Dixie's head. The segment where Bobby Roode set him up at the TNA headquarters was brilliant. First, Buddy Ray explained himself that he's never liked Dixie. Dixie's never liked him because she could never control him. And Buddy Ray never wanted to align himself with Dixie going forward in TNA. This was brilliant because Bobby Roode comes out, attacks him, really showing the feud going forward, really showing that he outsmarted Buddy Ray. And this feud, I don't care who wins. Yes, I've always liked Buddy Ray as a heel, would love to see that going forward. But eventually, he needed something different in his career. Bobby Roode continuing showing that he's a really great heel, a top heel for the company. This segment was absolutely brilliant, and I'm looking forward to this feud going forward. As for the feud between Buddy Ray and Dixie, I guess that's going to continue going forward when Dixie decides to show her face again. Hopefully never. Before MVP puts himself in the main event to replace Eric Young, he goes to Willow. And this goes back to what I was saying about Willow, about TNA finding the right way to move him forward, the right feuds. Yes, the main event could be one way to put him, but for Willow to replace Kurt Angle while Angle is injured against EC3, brilliant idea. I expect these two to hopefully work really well off each other. You got the weirdness of Willow, you got the greatness and the future push of EC3. They both got their way of talking, so you can expect there to be a mixture of promo work going on there. I feel that is a great way to go forward for the both of them. So when Willow did that weird yet cool reply back to MVP saying he doesn't do what he's told, he doesn't do politics, he doesn't do partnerships, and he'll attack Magnus when he's ready, and just went away. Good start. Good way to put him away from the main event scene for now. Hopefully continue the EC3 feud. So with MVP and Abyss handcuffed outside the ring, we have Samoa Joe selling his waist rib injury really well. Something we praise for in wrestling businesses so that we can get behind the story, we can get behind the match. Magnus targeting it, really weakening Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe showing some attempts to fight back, only for the referee to get knocked out, and the fight between MVP and Abyss kicks off outside the ring. Brilliant, using their part in the match. And then it comes down to, I think it was Abyss whacking a diving Samoa Joe on the head with the chair, which allows Magnus to pick up the win. And yes, it's a shame that Samoa Joe didn't get a proper rematch when he's in 100% to fight against Magnus. But this definitely played off the heels taking advantage of the injured Samoa Joe, taking advantage of the knocked out referee, which allowed Magnus to pick up the win. So is Samoa Joe going to get another rematch, or is that done? Is the Monstrous Abyss eventually going to turn on Magnus? And is Magnus still going to be the champion? Because my question to you guys is, if they're not planning to make Samoa Joe the next World Heavyweight Champion, is the Monstrous Abyss going to get his opportunity to eventually turn on Magnus, and him to get his opportunity to become the World Heavyweight Champion? Share your thoughts on the future of the World Heavyweight Championship. Share your thoughts on your opinion on this edition of Impact Wrestling. And I've been NJ, one half of the British Fist. What's up? Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.